In this introductory series of tutorials, I will show you the basics of working in Unreal Engine. We will start by making a new level, as I've already explained in part 2 of this tutorial series. There are 5 modes in the Unreal Engine: Select, Landscape, Foliage, Brush Editing, and Mesh Paint. Select mode is used exclusively on actors or assets that can be placed within a level. Select mode allows you to have immediate access to all the objects in the level. When active, you can immediately transform or edit actors in the level after an instance is dragged onto the level. This is what we've been using in the tutorials so far. The Landscape tool has 3 modes: Manage, Sculpt, and Paint. The Manage mode allows you to create new landscapes and modify landscape components. The Sculpt mode allows you to modify the shape of the landscape. And the Paint mode allows you to modify the appearance of parts of the landscape by painting textures onto it. We will be exploring this tool more later in the tutorial. The Foliage tool allows you to paint or erase sets of static meshes or foliage. We will be exploring this tool more later in the tutorial. The Brush Editing tool is used primarily for blocking out a level, playtesting, modifying the layout, and initial and polished passes. The brush tools can be additive, which means they're solid, or subtractive, which means they're hollow. You can drag and drop one of the primitives into the viewport from the Geometry tab. You're then able to modify the brush settings using the Transform tools or activate the Geometry Editing mode in the Details panel. The Mesh Paint tool allows you to adjust color and texture on the mesh's material. So let's explore the Landscape tool. You'll need to create a landscape actor to get started. The tool panel is where you'll be able to create a new landscape from scratch, and also where you can import a landscape from an external Heightmap file. If you enable Edit Layers, you can use the landscape layers and splines. This means that you can edit the height map and paint landscapes using non-destructive layers. You can also assign materials to the landscape. In this case, I will be using a height map that I made in Photoshop. The link to the tutorial from World of Level Design is in the description. The location option allows you to set the world location where the landscape is created. The rotation sets the rotation of the landscape. And the scale sets the scale of the landscape. In this case, I'll be changing the Z scale to 15. Now, the Foliage tool allows you to quickly paint and erase sets of meshes or foliage actors. You'll be presented with 2 options for the foliage type. Actor foliage uses blueprint or native actor instance in the level, and a static mesh foliage uses mesh instances in the level. I'm going to drag and drop the foliage I downloaded from BlendSwap into a new folder, The link is in the description. Now please note, I exported these objects from Blender as FBX files. Now need to make some very simple materials for these actors. I double click on one of the materials and I add a constant 3 vector. Now this is just like I showed in part 2 of the tutorial series. I connect the vector to the base color and I choose a color for the tree. I then add a constant and I connect it to the roughness. And I change the value to 0.8. I then repeat this process for the rest of the foliage. I now drag and drop the foliage actors into the foliage paint area. You can activate and deactivate any of the foliage by hovering over the thumbnail and selecting or deselecting the checkbox. Now I can select the grass, and when I hover over the scene, I see a white area that shows me where I will be placing the grass. All I need to do is click and drag to place the grass. I'm going to undo this grass placement and make some changes to the settings. I'll change the density to 50, and this will spread the grass out a bit more. I'll also change the X to a minimum of 0.01 and a maximum of 0.02. Now here's a tip. The left and right bracket keys will decrease and increase the size of the painting area. Now we'll explore the water modeling tools. To use the water modeling tools, you'll need to enable the water plugin, which is found under Edit, Plugins, Built-in, and Water. You'll need to restart Unreal, so make sure that you saved everything first. The available actors represent rivers, lakes, oceans, and other types of bodies of water that can be used in the level. These actors are made up of splines, which means you have multiple means of adjusting the water in the level. In the Place Actors panel, you can now search for water to find the types of water available to you in Unreal. To enable a water actor, simply drag and drop it onto the level. These will be made into layers for the landscape. The ocean actor uses a closed loop spline and generates a main island. If you want to change the look of the island that is produced, you can click on one of the handles and move it to reshape the island. You can also change the water material in the Details panel under the Rendering section. If you double-click on the water material, you open a new window with many options. If, for instance, I change the default water speed to 5, you notice that the water is moving much more rapidly. The lake actor also uses a closed loop spine and carves out the landscape beneath it. You can also change the size and shape of the lake, and also change the water material, just like you can do with the ocean option. Now, a river will use an open spline and can act as a connector between lakes and oceans. When I drag the river actor, notice that it looks like a Bezier curve. You can select the individual parts of the spline and make changes to it. You also have the capability of making changes to the water material. Now, if you notice that the river is flowing in the wrong direction, such as uphill away from the ocean, you can select a point on the river and twirl open the water section in the Details panel under the Selected Points section, and change the velocity to a negative or a positive number. You can also use the spline to make your own custom body of water. Now let's briefly explore fog in Unreal. Volumetric fog allows for varying density and numerous light interactions with the fog. For this part of the tutorial, I'll be using the third-person map. There is an atmospheric fog that comes with the third-person template. But we'll delete this since we won't be using it. In the Place Actors panel, I search for fog and drag the exponential height fog into the level. In the Detail panels, you'll need to activate the volumetric fog. If you go up to the fog density and change this to 1, notice that you can now easily see the fog. Now note, if you use the actual slider feature, you can only go up to 0.5, but you can key in higher values. Since Volumetric Fog uses the scene's lights, we can search for the directional light, and change its rotation. Then we can see how the light affects the fog. If you're looking for God rays, this is the light that can give these to you. Under the light shaft section, in the details panel, activate the light shaft occlusion and light shaft bloom. Then under the build menu, choose build lighting. Once the lighting is built, move around the scene, and now you can see the God rays. This is the end of part 3 of the beginner's tutorial series. I encourage you to explore the modes and work on building landscapes for your levels. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this useful. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and turn on the notifications. Have a good day.